Yeah, I don't know. That was weird. Maybe it was the topic. Maybe it's too sensitive. You guys come back and join me here. There's a bunch of us. Let me know you're here. Okay, there's Charles. He's back. Let me know you're here. I'm watching the numbers count back up here. They were so slowly. Odie, Patrick, excellent. Hello, fellas. Odalan, Odie the Hot. All right. So it looks like most everybody's jumping back on. Starting to get there anyway. There he is. All right. So back to what I was saying. The endorsement thing, a lot of people think of it as a career building path. And let me tell you right now, you're not going to build your career with endorsement deals. It's not going to happen. A sponsorship, hey Larry, Sam, a sponsorship, back to the whole NASCAR uniform thing with all the patches and everything. Sponsorships are when people pay you to drive their car, pay you to play their drums. That is not what an endorsement deal, at least in the music industry, is about. Endorsements in the music industry are relationship based. You've got to have a relationship with the company. So what does that mean? It means the gear that you're actually playing. You've got to really, really, really like the gear. You can't kind of like the gear. You've got to really like it. You've got to believe in it. You've got to be willing to play it all the time, at least as often as you physically can. Sometimes you can't if you're doing a backline gig or whatever. I get that. Everybody gets that. But you've got to believe in it. And this is the biggest thing. And I'm going to tell the Remo Evans story here in a second. But you've got to have a relationship with the people at the company. And they've got to believe in and understand what you do. If you don't have that, you don't have anything. So several of you may be aware that I switched drum companies from Tama to DW. It's actually been 3 years ago now. It's hard to believe. And I'm not going to tell the whole sordid story about it, but it boiled down to the Dodgers hiring me to do some stuff for them. And I was going to be featured on a video on the big screen of Dodger Stadium, as well as writing the music for their team intro and everything that particular season. And I saw this as an opportunity for getting the logo, the Tama logo, out in front of millions of people at Dodger Stadium, and Tama didn't agree. That's the short version of it. And ultimately, yeah, go Dodgers is right. And ultimately, I was frustrated and couldn't figure out why they didn't see the reality of how this could be viewed as a benefit to them as a company. Because let me tell you, one of the tenets of endorsement deals, it's a two-way street. They're going to give you typically discounts on their gear in exchange for the use of your image, your name, and you to play their stuff live and on video and in the studio. And they're going to be able to say, this person does this thing, Buddy did this stuff for the Dodgers using our gear, that kind of deal. And I, in turn, say, I play all this stuff because I believe in this stuff. And this is the stuff that gives me the ability to do my job, that gives me the ability to have the career that I have. Without the endorsements that I have, I would never have this room full of gear. No way. Because I wouldn't be able to afford it to begin with. And honestly, these are the companies, DW, Remo, these are the companies that really understand what it is that I do, what it is that I bring to the table. Because I'm not a rock star. I've never been a rock star. I'm a career musician. I've been a career musician now, a full-time, don't do anything else, play drums and or write music for a living for 21 years. 20 years. The average music career lasts 4 years. Let me say that again. The average music career lasts 4 years. So you've got to be diversified in what you're doing if you want to have a lengthy career. Now, how does that relate to endorsement deals? Well, for instance, there's a commitment level to the gear, right? You've got to be committed. I loved the Tama gear. I did. I really liked it. They have to be committed to getting you the gear. Well, there was a problem. The people at the company make an even bigger difference. If you have a good relationship with the people, then sometimes some of the other things can be overlooked. Aaron, who was there, Terry Bissett, who was there, these people, great human beings. Terry Bissett and I have a 20-year friendship, and he's gone on to Ludwig now. But Terry brought me into Tama, and I was thrilled to be there. But when things went downhill because of the Dodgers gig, my friend Eric Hernandez from Bruno Mars Band, I called Eric and I said, "Here's the deal, man." I told him what was up, and Eric said, "I'll make a phone call for you." And Adam Willard from Angels and Airwaves, and okay, what's the other one? Anyway, several of my friends. Let me just put it that way. There were about 4 guys that I reached out to, all DW players, and they made phone calls for me. And DW called me and said, "What do you need? We can make this work for you." And they did. And that kit, that kit over there, it's so hard to do. That kit, they built that kit for me in a week and a half, and it usually takes them about 4 months to do a kit, because I needed it. And so the point that I'm getting to here is this. That company saw what I brought to the table and saw that I brought value. A career musician who had a giant gig that was about to make a big splash for them. And that's exactly what happened. Now, in turn, I give them free reign to use anything of mine that they want. If they want a photo, if they want video, whatever it is, and we are actually working on something, or we were, before this all went crazy, that you guys are going to find interesting once we get back up to real life. And that's the way this works. I give to them, they give to me. I give to them, they give to me. It's not quid pro quo necessarily, but it is certainly, it's got to be a two-way street. Now, I keep coming back to that because so many times people think endorsement equals sponsorship. It's not that at all. In a sponsorship, they just keep giving. You don't really have to do anything other than fly the banner. And if your name is not Benny Colaiuta, you're not getting paid to play somebody's drums. That brings me to this point. When I got my first endorsements, whatever they might have been, I was paying for things just like everybody else. It was discounted, 70%. Initially, it was like 50 or 60% off, and then it grew and it grew. And now, because I've been at this for so long and I've built a career, I don't have to pay for things anymore. But it wasn't the way that it was initially. Initially, I was paying for things just like everybody else, just a lower price. Later on, as my career built, things became less expensive, and finally, I started getting things, oftentimes for free. The point is, I had to build that career. And the single best piece of career advice I've ever gotten, and I didn't even understand it initially, and several of you have heard me say this before. My Zildjian rep, Kirsten, when I first moved out here to LA, I sat down with Kirsten, and she said to me, "What are you doing? What is it that you want?" Because I'd been in Nashville, I moved out here, and I said, I don't want to be a country drummer. I want to get involved in everything that's going on in LA. And I said, I'm really just, I've got to find a way to get a gig. And Kirsten stopped and she looked at me and she said, "No, don't focus your energy on getting a gig. Focus your energy on building a career." Stopped me cold, because here's my Zildjian rep telling me this. And I thought to myself, but the career is the gig, right? I didn't understand. It took me a while to figure out that gigs come and go. A career is built of gigs throughout. And that's ultimately what she was telling me. And I've taken that advice very much to heart. And that's why, people ask me how I got these endorsements and how do I have all these sponsorships. And again, I come back to, it's not a sponsorship at all. This is my way of doing my job. So Zildjian, Vic Firth, DW, those companies came to the table with gear and allowed me to do the job that I do. Then there's Remo. I don't even know what to say about Remo. I was an Evans player. Some of you might know that, some of you might not. And it was just sort of a fluke that I ended up at Evans. It really wasn't a choice. It was really easy many years ago. And I had one guy there that I dealt with, Steve Loebmeyer. Hey, Steve, good dude. And Steve was the only person I knew at that whole company. Well, things started to change, and I started to feel the need to make a move, and that does happen. Changes come, people change, staff changes, and the time had come for me to start making a move. And I went out to the Remo factory and took a tour with Adam Murphy. Hey, Adam, who was the artist guy at the time. And Adam showed me how they make the heads and all this stuff. And it was really an impressive thing. One of the things I'd always thought was that Remo was kind of limited in their models. And then when he showed me everything they make, I was just kind of blown away. They're not limited even a little bit. I had no idea. And then I started to listen, and I found myself really liking the sound of the Remo heads. So as I was in the factory walking around, hey, let's go to lunch, Adam said. Okay, we're going to get the gang together. And so Chris Hart and Adam and Roger might have been with us. I don't even know, but I know who all was with us. Kyle Murphy. There was a group of about 6 or 8 of us, and we all were sitting there having lunch. And Chris Hart looked over at me. He said, "So who do you know at Evans? You know?" And I said, "Well, Steve Loebmeyer's who I deal with." He goes, "Well, who do you know?" I said, "Well, Steve Loebmeyer." And he said, "Well, Steve's a good guy, but who else do you know?" Nobody. He said, "Well, here you are at lunch on day 1 with 8 people from Remo. So if one of us gets fired or quits or whatever, you've got 7 more people you can call." That was really heavy to me. I really understood that. I understood what that meant. That was the beginning of a relationship that has been incredibly fruitful for both of us, both Remo and I. Remo has asked me to do, Mark Branson in particular, has asked me to do quite a lot of video stuff for them in music composition for some of their product release videos. And so some of that music that you've heard on their product stuff has been me. It's been kind of fun to do it. I got a chance to do some really cool producing stuff for them. I've really enjoyed that. On the flip side, they provide me with drum heads like crazy. You know, anything I need, they've been amazingly good to me in that regard. But above all things, it's not about me. My drum camps in the summer. Every summer, Mark in particular will handle custom drum heads for the high school where I do my drum camp. These custom drum heads are unlike anyone else's in the world. They're sparkly and various designs and all this stuff, and they just provide hundreds and hundreds of drum heads to the school. It's mind-boggling. It's like nothing I've ever seen, and they do it every single year without fail, without me even really having to ask. That's the sign of a company that gets it. So that's why when I put my name out there and I say I play Remo, brother, it's because I believe in the product and I believe in the people. So if you've got an endorsement deal that you're seeking, you better believe in the product and believe in the people. It makes a whole lot of difference. I have found myself frustrated with companies and people through the years, but I'm not a hopper. If I make a move, then you can bet that it's been something I've thought about for a year at the least, probably more. And I can't say I'm not ever going to make another move. Right now, I love my stuff. I'm not looking to make any moves at the moment, you know, but that could change tomorrow for all I know. But the truth of the matter is that an endorsement deal in the music industry is not a pathway to success. It doesn't signal that you've arrived. It signals only that there is some value that you bring to the table for the company, and the company brings some value to you. So try to remember that as you, especially you younger guys, the younger you are, the more you want that brass ring of the endorsement. You're not going to build your career that way. I'm telling you, you're not going to do it. It doesn't mean that you've arrived if you have an endorsement deal. 2 weeks ago now, one of my drum camp guys, Chad. Well, see, Chad Patrick, right here. Here you go. Chad has just amened me over here. And Chad has a company, the Drum Wallet. And Chad's Drum Wallet, I don't even have one of those. I need to get one of those. It's a really cool little product that sits on top of your snare drum and takes out, it does what a wallet used to do in the 70s, you know. And I'm sure, Chad, you probably get hit up constantly about, hey, man, I want your stuff. But Chad gets it, and thanks, Patrick. I appreciate that. So the whole, back to this whole thing, I'm going to check my notes because I'm looking at something. Oh, yes. So a couple weeks ago, one of my drum camp students said, hey, I've got this endorsement deal, this contract in front of me. It's really exciting. And I was like, oh, wow, what is it? And he told me what it was. And there's a particular cymbal company in the world that is making a customer base out of people by calling them artists. I'm not going to say the name, but if you're involved in this world, you know exactly who I'm talking about. And what they've done is, if you say, hey, I'd like to be an artist, they'll sign you immediately. It doesn't matter who it is. I could probably get my dog signed. I don't know, but I could get somebody signed pretty quick. And they'll sell you gear at whatever the price is, 60 off list or whatever. I'm throwing out numbers here, which is exactly what they'll sell you gear for through Sam Ash or Sweetwater or whatever. And there's really nothing to be gained by you as a player in that scenario, except to be on their list. It's very upsetting to the model of endorsements that have been in place forever. People like me, certainly people that are higher up than me, we work a long time to build our reputation to the point that a company wants to be involved with us. That takes a long time. My deal with Zildjian, I met them in 1999. They didn't sign me until 2004. 5 years I waited to get on their artist roster. 5 years. That's how long it took before they said, yep, we want this guy. 5 years. If there's a company that's out there advertising that they want to make you an artist, no, they're wanting to make you a customer. And I had to explain this to my drum camp guy. It was not my favorite thing in the world to have to do that, to tell him the truth of that. But I explained it all to him, and he understood it. And he understood why perhaps it wasn't the best move for him to make. Because here's what I said to him. I said, what have you done that would warrant any company wanting to have your name associated with their product? You're a 17-year-old high school student, 18-year-old high school student. What have you done? The answer is nothing yet. Now, he may go on to be a huge star, and he's certainly talented, and he's got a lot of things going for him. Does that mean that this same company is who he would want to be associated with in 5 years? Don't know. But I told him that I felt like he was being used by that company, and that's how I feel about it. So back to the whole two-way street thing, what was that company going to do? They were going to create a customer out of him, give him a 60% off or 70% off, I don't even know, discount, which is exactly what he could get at Sweetwater. So all they've done is create a customer, not an artist. And that's a problem. So as we look around at companies, be aware that there are some unscrupulous ones out there doing things like that. So I'm going to open this up a little bit more now to any questions you guys have, and please feel free to chime in now. It's good to have so many people here with us tonight. We've had quite a few tonight. Got to have an almond. Hilda, I see you on there. Don't know if you're still here. How you liking this quarantine here, huh? Pretty good, right? I think I kind of like it. I may just let it keep going. I don't know. It's kind of funny. By the way, one thing about endorsements, I've never chased one. I hear people talk about it. I'm going to NAMM. I want to get some endorsements. You know what you're not going to ever do, ever, is get an endorsement deal at NAMM. Ain't going to happen. Thanks, Odie. It's just, the NAMM show is not where things get done for endorsements. But I mean, I love the NAMM show, and I'm hopeful that we can have one in 2021. But that's not the place to get it done. You've got to build your relationships outside of the NAMM show. Go to the NAMM show, say your hellos, have no agenda with walking in and walking out with an endorsement deal. And if you do, by the way, I don't even know. Chad, I'm going to use your thing since you're here. If you walk up to Chad and say, hey, man, I like your drum wallet, man. Oh, cool. Do you have one? No. Well, how do you know you like it? Well, I've seen it. Chad, what you going to say to that person? Not exactly going to be too thrilled to sign them as an artist, are you? That's the truth. If you're going to want a deal with somebody, you need to play it already. You need to love it already. It's this whole concept of I'm going to get this stuff because I can get it for cheap or for free. All you're doing is creating a lie for yourself about who you are and what you want to represent. I've watched drummers, and it does tend to be us, unfortunately. We're the ones that are most guilty of this. I think it's because we have so much gear. But drummers tend to end up with this thought that we can just make a move here and make a move there, and I don't like this and I don't like that, and I'll just play whatever they'll give me. And I've watched guys completely kill their careers by doing that. Because as I've said, you can't build a career out of this, but you can absolutely ruin one. If you do it where you're a hopper and you jump from one company to the next, 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 first of all, what does that do to your reputation? What does that mean for your word? I endorsed this thing for 10 minutes, and now I endorse that thing for 15 minutes, and now I'm going to go with this one for the next 25. It doesn't mean anything. Not at all. I wouldn't have gone from, say, Tama to CB 700 or anything like that. No way. I wanted to make a move up, and I did because I needed to for my career. It was something that had to happen. Fortunately for me, just like the guys at Remo that really, really understand what I bring to the table, so does DW. These guys totally get it. Steve Vega, great dude. Great dude. All these guys over there, one of the best things of my whole life was getting a chance to sit down with John Good and talk wood. That was unbelievable. That's if you've ever had that opportunity, you know what I'm talking about. Odie, I know you've done that before. It's amazing. They call him the Wood Whisperer for a reason. It's unbelievable. So anyway, that's my thought on the whole endorsement thing. It's very difficult to build a career. Can't, but you can kill your career. So don't be a jerk. Man, that single line, I could just stop right there. Don't be a jerk. This is some interesting stuff, man. Well, at least I got it, I guess. If you can find a way to make what you do, what you bring to the table, valuable to the company, then they can make something valuable to you. It is such a two-way street. Now, while I'm waiting for you guys to ask any questions you may have, I want to revisit something that I started the previous video with before you guys. Some of you guys came later. The previous video, something went crazy and died, and the video got deleted, I might add. So I wanted to tell you, several of you knew that I was up for a pretty big gig. It was a composing gig, and the composing gig was for a television network, and I was one of 50, who was then narrowed to 25, and then narrowed to the 5 finalists, and I was one of the 5 finalists. And I found out late last week that I did not get the gig. I was very disappointed, and actually it's one of the reasons why I kind of went radio silent for a little while. I needed to take a little time and lick my wounds. But as I said previously, one of the big things for me was that what I put out to this company, I felt really strong about it. To this moment, I feel like it's one of the best things I've ever done. And because of that, I can rest a little easy, knowing that it wasn't because it wasn't good enough. It's because they wanted to go this way, and I gave them something that went that way. Nothing I can do about that. So, you know, back to being myself kind of thing. So Chad, what are you saying over here? I get a vibe for the person and how they act and react to my product. Yeah, you are a one-man show, that's for sure. What can I do for you, Chad, that'll get me one? Oh, Patrick, thanks, brother. I hope that the younger generation sees and hears some of this and can really process it. I don't know if I could have when I was younger. Maybe. I mean, we all wanted to be endorsing drummers and rock stars and all of that. And frankly, one of the things that just bothers me, I'm having a hard time not naming names. One of the things that bothers me is when a company signs the hot new guy, whoever that might be. And then 6 months later, the hot new guy is not is no longer the hot new guy. So suddenly they've spent time, energy, and money getting this person involved with their company, and this person no longer has any sway in the industry. And what difference does it make? So it's really frustrating when I see companies doing that and doing it repeatedly, I might add. Whoever the hot guy in town is, or the hot girl in town is, the hot player, let me put it that way, in town is, it gets super frustrating. As I've said, I'm a career player. And as a career player, I've never been the hot guy in town. I started my career here, and I've done this over the course of 20 years. And when I look back on my career accomplishments, it's surprising to me, because I thought I'd be a rock star. I guess we all do that, because I'm not a rock star. All I am is a working professional musician. All I am. It's given me a tremendous platform to influence the next generation. It's given me a tremendous platform for selling product. I know every time I get involved with a company, if I say buy it, here's what's happened in 20 years. The words that I have gravitas. So I'm not a fly-by-night guy. I'm not going to go jump on your, play this pen. I'm not going to do that because, and then 2 hours later go play. No, play this one. That's not what I'm going to be. And if there's any way for me to stay with a company, then I'm going to. If I make a move, it's because there's something very serious there. And, I don't want to do it necessarily. Sometimes you have to do it. Sometimes you want to do it. Sometimes it's a sound thing. Sometimes it's a people thing. Sometimes it's a corporate thing. But the simple fact is all of this stuff is about doing my job. And without the help that I get from the companies, I literally wouldn't be able to do it. Unfortunately, I should call them out. DW, I have DW, Remo, Vicforth, Zildjian, Futuresonics in-ear monitors. And by the way, don't waste your time or energy or money on anything other than Futuresonics. LP percussion, that's a new one, by the way. I haven't been with LP all that long. In fact, only less than a year with LP. Of course, they're owned by DW now, so that was an easy thing to do. But Jerry Zacharias over there, that's a great dude too. So many good people. Sam, hey, you're commenting. What are you saying? Odie did too. Oh, thanks, Odie. I appreciate that, man. He says it's a humbling discussion for everyone who needs to know what to do and what not to do when it comes to endorsements. I appreciate that, man. It's not a game. This whole thing is not a game. It's literally, that's part of the problem. If you see endorsements as the endorsement game, then you are part of the problem. This whole thing, endorsements are necessary for me to do my job. Necessary. I don't see it as a game at all. It's a very serious relationship with the company and with people. That's how I feel about that. D. Oliver, how you doing, brother? Reggie, Andrea, hi. Yeah, let's talk about that again. Sam, what are you saying, brother? All of this is 100% in any industry, total two-way street. Yeah. Yeah, that's good to hear. Sam is saying his careers have been in higher education. He's a music educator for a long time, and now he's in software development. He said it's no different from what I describe in those. That's really interesting, Sam. I wouldn't have thought it to be quite as much in the tech world, but I suppose I can see it. I've been involved with tech companies as an endorser a few times, and even as a paid endorser on a couple of them. And it's a fascinating world to even be part of at all, because I'd never really thought much about it prior to my involvement with one company in particular. I'm no longer with them, so I'm not calling them out. But that one was a relationship company as well, a relationship situation too. There it is. Yeah, that's exactly what I was just saying. Sam just chimed in with relationships, and that's that does bring me back to to DW, Brent Wetley at DW. I'm walking down the hall at DW one day, and he goes, "Hey, you're Buddy Gibbons." Yeah, and oh wait, oh yeah. So it was like this cool thing, and now I feel like I've got this new friend, And, Eric Algram over at Remo, everybody that I deal with, these companies do it right because they care about their artists, and their artists care about them. Man, there's just no substitute for that. So does anybody else have any questions, thoughts, comments? Reggie Rawls, I said hi to you a second ago, but I hope you're doing good, brother. Oh, we got to get some wings. Of course, I have to get on a plane. It'll be a while. Anybody else have any questions, thoughts, comments, suggestions? I used to have a professor in college. He'd sit in a rocking chair. He'd just rock back and forth. He was a psychology prof, back and forth. And at the end of he'd read whatever, and then he'd pause. Thoughts, comments, questions? No? And then he started rocking again. And here we go. Every time. What do we got? I'm glad to hear that. Reggie says he's doing great. Yeah, there you go. Reggie Dowse here. Reggie played a beautiful Egyptian Night Burst Tama Star Classic kit, and I coveted that kit so bad. I loved that kit, and he ended up losing that kit. I can't even talk about it. And so when time came for him to get a new one, guess what he bought? That's right, a DW, and it's really killer. It's good to see. Reggie, I'm glad to hear look at that, two Reggies. Reggie Dowse, Reggie Rawls. Reggie Rawls, I'm glad to hear that you're doing well, brother. I really am. Looking forward to hanging out. Chad, absolutely, brother. I know. I didn't even talk about it, Reggie Dowse, because I'm not going to talk about your house burning down. That was awful. Odie, what shell construction is my DW? Nope. Okay, that one is their maple. This one is their standard maple shell. Just for the record, top to bottom is 8, 10, 13, 15, 16, 22. That one has reinforcement hoops as well. I don't know the plies. I don't pay that much of attention to that sort of thing anymore. I probably should. The green one here and there, that's the same kit. So this is all one giant shell bank of a kit. That's maple spruce, and it's inner and outer of maple with all the sandwich stuff being spruce. This maple spruce kit, I just call it my spruce kit. Odie, that kit, I've really never heard anything like it. When you tune it, the tom sizes are 8, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 20, and 22. So it's a full shell bank from 8 to 22. When you tune that, if you tune the 8, man, my hair is out of control. When you tune the 8, it sounds like a 10. When you tune the 10, it sounds like a 13, so on. So it's like the smaller drums sound bigger than they are. And the 15, 16, this is a John Good thing. I said to him, hey, I like a 15-inch floor tom, and that's his favorite floor tom size, as it turns out. But I wanted something lower pitch, but not an 18. Just physically, it's too big. He said, "Oh, that's no problem. I can build you a 16. That's quite a big drop from pitch to pitch." And boy, did he! The 15 to the 16 pitch-wise is enormous. This is actually a good moment. Ed, how you doing, man? I'll call you out here. Thank you for joining. Ed Eblin, the creator of the E-pad. Where's my E-pad? It's over at my kit. It's always with me. The E-pad is a practice pad that is, I just adore the practice pad. It's become my go-to practice pad. Now, I've never signed an endorsement deal with Ed, but I'll tell you this, I absolutely endorse the company and the pads. They're fan-freaking-tastic. And Ed's a great dude, such a nice guy. And we've gotten we got to say in-person hello at NAMM a couple of years ago, and subsequently we've had a few conversations through the year. And man, oh man, that's a good thing right there. This is a perfect moment. I'm glad that Ed jumped in here, because his ePad is something that I probably never would have thought about as an endorsement situation. But me saying I play it and it's something that I love is my way of saying I endorse this product. Do you see the difference there? If Ed was paying me, that would be a sponsorship. I'm saying that I endorse, and that's a big distinction. I can't believe I didn't say that. I even have it written down. It's the very first thing on my notepad. I endorse the company. The company does not endorse me. DW doesn't endorse me. I endorse DW. Remo doesn't endorse me. I endorse Remo. That's the way this works. Michael Jordan, since we're all on the Last Dance tip right now, Nike didn't endorse Michael. Michael endorsed Nike. Now they paid him, boy, but his endorsement of Nike said, "I believe that Nike is a great product. I believe that Ed's ePad is a great product." That's me endorsing his product, and that's how I feel about it. It's I've got the red pad, the ePad Red, and I've also got one of the standard ones. And the red pad's just my go-to, and it'll work you out. And then suddenly you get these things from playing on that pad. So check out the ePad. Is it epad.com? Cash. Oh, excellent. I'll take it. So that's how the whole endorsement thing. That was a perfect moment. I get a chance to tell you how those things flow. Ed sent me the ePad, and I appreciate that. That was through Doug Tan. At least that was how it initially started, and that goes back to the relationship thing, right? And Reggie Dowse, yes, better has come from it. I agree. I do hate that your house burned down, though, man. What a horrible way to lose a drum kit. Oh wow. So that's my take on endorsements. That's the long version of it, and I realize we've been on here a long time talking about this. epadco.com. And thanks, Ed. epadco.com. There it is. He says that they endorse me too. That's awesome. See, relationship, two-way. Hey, what's happening, Douglas? Good to see you, man. Happy birthday. I hope you had a good day. That was yesterday, though, right? Douglas is a longtime friend of mine. His very first drum that he ever played on was one of my snare drums when he was this big. Epadco.com is Ed's practice pad company. It's well worth your time. So anybody else got anything else? Oh, Chad, I'm in the middle of an artist agreement redesign. Oh, that's cool. Well, send me one. Let's see what's up with it. I definitely would check out the artist agreement and see what you got going on, man. So anybody else? Anything else before we call this a night? I'm so glad that so many of you joined. We've had about 30 or so tonight, which has been pretty good. These late night learnings, I know I could get more people, more eyeballs earlier in the day, but I don't even care. I like the fact that musicians are still up, and I want to talk with you guys this way. Thanks, Hody. I appreciate that. Oh, good. I'm glad, Douglas. Okay, well, that was the third, so I'm a little bit late on the. I wished it to you on Facebook, but anyway. Thanks, Hody. I do appreciate that. Anybody else? Any other questions? By the way, Odie, I don't know if you are aware of the snare drum racks. Over here's 10, and over here's 10. And I've got, multiple ideas. And over at John Bay's house is another. I don't even know. Okay, that's what I'm thinking of right there, Douglas. Okay. Anyway, so thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. If you have any other questions, hit me up. I will be here. I'm always available via Messenger and so on. Thank you, Charles. I hope that's been interesting to you, man. And take care of yourself down there. It's about 7:50 in the morning or so in South Africa. Pretty early. I won't be awake at 7:50 in the morning Pacific time, I can assure you. What are my thoughts on weighted sticks? Okay. Well, I thought I had something right here, but I don't. Excuse me a second. Sorry. Oh, 9:50. Oh, it's later than I thought. Okay. What are my thoughts on weighted sticks? Asked Douglas Blackman. Well, I'll tell you, on an E-pad, I think weighted sticks would just about break you in half. I don't mind them. My typical practice pad routine involves very heavily weighted marching sticks, but I'm not a big fan of the metal sticks. I feel like you can do some damage. It might be good for just getting the muscles moving and whatnot. I certainly wouldn't ever touch a drum with them, or a cymbal, no way. But here's what is that? Yeah. So this is just a standard Vic Firth Ralph Hardiman model, and obviously it's a 17-inch long stick versus. Okay, so here. All right, so this is my stick that I just dropped. This is my stick here versus the. Really? I'm going to drop it twice. There we go. All right, so you see how much longer the marching stick is. It's a full inch longer and substantially thicker, much heavier stick. But you see this is tape here. You can't really see it. But from here to here is white tape. And I will use the white tape to weight the front end. I usually will tape it back through the rim shot section, and I build it up here so that I can get more weight moving on the practice pad. That's what I like to do, is use the tape, and I'll tape the back end as well. And I build up the tape so that I get a pretty good balance front to back. I like my marching sticks a little bit front heavy. I like my drum kit sticks a little bit back heavy. So I play differently. Somebody commented the other day, they watched me play the traditional thing, and they were like, why do you hold the stick so far back when you're playing on a drum set traditional grip? And the answer is this. That's the truth. Because on the marching stick, that's the fulcrum for me. But in order to get the same weight distribution, I move way back here, and it's just stupid. It's a terrible habit. It's a bad idea, but it's what I do. And I used to be like here. I have subsequently moved to about here. Maybe at some point I'll get back to where it's supposed to be. Who knows? Anyway, so I will use heavier marching sticks for practice pad work from time to, well, every time. In fact, I prefer, I don't know where my marching sticks, they must be back there with the practice pad. That's probably where they are. But so that's my thought on that, Douglas. Yes, but I'm not a big fan of the metal stick per se. I would rather use wood with weighted ends. Ooh, excuse me. Gotta stop eating almonds. Wondering about what there, Douglas? The weights? Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna do this again probably Monday. I'm gonna be doing some drumming on Monday. We'll be back doing some stuff. Have your questions ready. If you'd like me to cover anything, this endorsement conversation came about from a question that I was asked. So if you've got questions, feel free to hit me up anytime, and I'll answer them either keyboard or we'll do one of these guys. Okay. So have a great night. Please stay safe. I know that places are starting to open back up, and while the economy is important, our health is even more so. I am very, very, very concerned that we're opening too quickly, and I don't want to see people getting sick. I'm gonna actually have an antibody test because I have a sneaking suspicion that I very well may have had COVID-19 back in January from the NAMM show and all of that. So yeah, Douglas, that's why the stick that's why my hand's like that. And all right, guys, talk to you soon. See you later. Thanks, Chad. See you. Talk to you.